It's Rosh Hashanah. How the year keeps ticking on. It's just another year of moments come and gone. We're that much older. Are we wiser, or have our hearts grown that much colder? Have we ceased to do our part? I'm starting over. I'm looking back. I've done things that I'm not proud of. In this year we're coming out of. Now's the time for introspection. Time to forge a new direction. Decide who I want to be. A brand new year, a brand new me. I'm starting over. I'm starting over. Blow the shofar. Sound the call for us to change. The year is over. We'll renew ourselves again. The gates are open. We'll repent and swallow pride. And we're hoping it's enough to be inscribed. I'm starting over. I'm looking back. I've done things that I'm not proud of. In this year we're coming out of. Now's the time for introspection. Time to forge a new direction. Decide who I want to be. A brand new year, a brand new me. We're starting over. We're starting over. We're starting over. That was then and this is now. And it's time to review and renew all our vows. I'm putting all my sins behind me. The error of old ways won't find me. Learn what it means to be a Jew. Try to make our souls anew. We're starting over. We're starting over. We're starting over.
Shana Tova. Welcome, everyone. I want to welcome all the many family members of Temple Shalom in this room. We celebrate you and are so happy you're with us. And also to all of our visitors who are here. We feel lucky that you've chosen us to be the place that you celebrate this sacred occasion. A special welcome to our LGBTQ families, to our single parents, to our seniors and our interfaith families, to our college students, and to all the many dynamic individuals here today. A special welcome to Rachel Gross-Prince, who is our fourth-year HUC rabbinic intern. She's leading about 200 children in the library. So our prayers and thoughts are with her. And we feel blessed that we have so many young families who are with us today. And that's also thanks to the Mayerson Foundation and Pam Sakes, who's helped make that possible. Welcome to Dr. Jonathan Stinson, who flies in every year. This is his 6th year with us. His twins are now 3. We miss them. They're not here with us, but we're so happy that you're here with us. And welcome and thank you to Dr. Mark Bailey, who never ceases to amaze me. He is here on his 28th High Holiday with us, and some of these High Holiday choir members have been here almost as long, and we celebrate and thank you. I want to welcome our online community. Though you're not with us in this brick and mortar building, you are part of our minyan and our prayer community, and we're so glad that you're joining with us today. If you don't have a prayer book, you can just go online. I think there's a link there, and you can just get the Kindle app for Mishkan HaNefesh to follow along with us. I have to give a couple special shout-outs to Cookie Aronoff, to my Uncle Lou, to my Uncle Ralph, to my mom in Seattle. It's pretty early there, so thank you. And my dad in Belgium, so thank you both for being here. If you want us to include, if you're online and you want us to include, there's 140 of you. 140 of you online right now. If you want us to include anything in our Mishnah Berach prayers, in our Kaddish, or in these shout-outs, let us know. Just email the website. A really special thank you to Bob Zeke, who mans the sound booth the entire time, who comes and installs the camera, who does all these things to make it possible in this space. And also thank you to Leah Yakudas and Jim Kastrup and our whole technology committee who makes this possible. Thank you to John Molander, Jenny Costello, Marta Hyland, Faina Gotkin, Laura Wright, and Julie Solomon, who worked tirelessly to make off-site services possible and make it look like this. I want to warn you that bells will ring because it's a school. So just like integrate it into the prayer experience when it happens. Like it's an emotional bell that comes, and we'll just pause and let it go, and we'll keep going. I think it'll happen once or twice during the service. Since we are praying together as one community, as one family, let's take this moment to greet one another, the people who are around you, who surround you. Share with them one hope for the coming season. And don't forget to ask if anyone has a place for a holiday meal, and if they say nowhere, invite them. So please turn to each other, greet them, Shana Tova, one hope for the new year. We turn back to our camera, welcoming our online community, those who are streaming from offices, homes, hospitals. Together we say Shana Tova, Happy New Year. If you have a cell phone, please turn it off. Not only does it affect our prayer service and the worship environment, it affects our streaming. So please take this moment to turn it off for the next 2-ish hours. Beginning our Rosh, I heard a little murmur around 2-ish. Don't worry, we'll get you to your bagels. As we begin this Rosh Hashanah morning service, we acknowledge that each of us comes to prayer with different needs and different modes of expression. But sitting here side by side, we hear the sounds of one another's praying as if they are our own. Every Jew is different, and yet together we realize the oneness of our faith. May this service offer you what you seek, strengthen your connection to your faith, and provide an opportunity of reflection and healing. We begin our service on page 110 with Matovu.
חסדך אבוא ביתך אשתחווה אל היכל קודשך ביראתך מה טובו עליך ומקום משכן כבודך ואני אשתחווה ואכרע אברכה לפני אדוני עושי אדוני את רצון אלוהים מרוב חסדך הנני באמת אישך. מה טוב אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל.
We continue on page 123.
Precious above all is the soul within me, a spark of childhood innocence, curious, hopeful, loving, and good. Whatever I've done, wherever I've gone wrong, however I've been hurt, I know its light still shines. May I return and reconnect with the part of me that belongs to you, my divine core, eternal, incorruptible. Baruch atah Adonai, Asher b'yado nefesh kol chai, Baruch kol b'sar ish. We give you praise, Adonai. All life is in your hand, and in your care the soul of every human being.
Continue at the bottom of page 127.
Statistically, the probability of any one of us being here is so small, you'd think the mere fact of existing would keep us all contented dazzlement of surprise. We are alive against the stupendous odds of genetics, infinitely outnumbered by the alternatives who might, except for luck, be in our places. Even more astounding is the statistical improbability in physical terms. The normal, predictable state of matter throughout the universe is randomness, a relaxed sort of equilibrium with atoms and particles scattered around in amorphous muddle. We, in brilliant contrast, are completely organized structures, squirming with information every convolute bond, adding to the biological improbability that each member of our own species is unique. Each of us is self-contained, freestanding individual, labeled by specific protein configurements at the surfaces of cells, indefinable by whirls of fingertip skin, even by special melodies of fragrance. You'd think we'd never stop dancing.
The top of page 131 with S.I. and I.
Come
135 with Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, 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 b'tzilzei shama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tzilzei teruah. Kol hanshama te'aleya, kol hanshama te'aleya, kol hanshama te'aleya, kol hanshama te'aleya. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
We continue on page 141 as we rise for Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. אמן. בעלמא יברך חירותה וימליך מלכותה. בחייכון וביום יכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמה רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
We continue on page 146.
That's better. Love abundant, love unstinting, our God, you have enfolded us in love. Tender compassion beyond all bounds, your precious gift. Our fathers and mothers gave you their trust, and you gave them Torah, laws by which to live. For their sake, teach us as well. Grace us with your guidance. Loving Father, merciful Mother of us all, grant us clear understanding, that we may listen, learn, and teach, preserve, practice, and fulfill with love every lesson of your Torah. May learning your Torah light up our eyes. May our hearts embrace your mitzvot. Unite us in love and reverence for you, that we may never feel ashamed of our deeds. Thank you.
We continue on page 151 with Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod ישראל אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We continue on page 165.
They went forth from Egypt on a single night, but next time the miracle will be different. Once two sages were walking very early in the valley, and they saw the light of the morning star. Said one to the other, "This is how their redemption will be. The dawn breaks with a single ray of light, and bit by bit the sky is illumined until morning comes and the darkness is gone." So the redemption will occur little by little, growing steadily and gradually until the world is full of light. Do not wait for a miracle or the sudden transformation of the world. Bring the day closer, step by step, with every act of courage, of kindness, of healing, and repair. Do not be discouraged by the darkness. Lift up every spark you can and watch the horizon for the coming of dawn. Look closely, it has already begun.
שירה חדשה, שבחו גולים לשמך, על שפת הים יחד כולם. הודו והמליכו ואמרו, בעזרת ישראל, ובטחינו מך יהודה וישראל, גואלנו, גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל.
We rise for tefillah beginning on page 166.
אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, אלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור הנורא, ועליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני פניהם, למען שלום ואהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחייב הכל אתה רב והושיע, מוריד אתה, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחייב הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומינו מלך, מלך ממיד ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך הרחמים, זוכר יצורה וחיים לרחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקיים הכל.
As we continue on page 175, I just want to offer a trigger warning that the next part of the text is a very difficult text, and some rabbis choose to omit it or to change it. I don't. I stay true to the text that we've had for so many years, but it doesn't mean that it's easy or that the theology works for everyone in this room. And what I'm talking about is the line of who shall live and who shall die, by water or by fire. These things, this year in particular, ring true in a way that might not have always felt that way. And so if you find yourself in there, we hear you. If you need to excuse yourself, we hear you. If it's a lot of standing, we hear you. Whatever works for you in this moment. I just want to be aware that we're keeping this in here for a reason, and yet that doesn't mean that it's easy. Unatana Tokaf. Let us embrace the day in its holiness, for this day is a throne of goodness and power. When the people of Israel do God's will, they strengthen God's power on high. And when the people of Israel fail to do God's will, they weaken, if one might say it, God's great power on high. So let this day recall your power and ours. Let it remind us of our promises kept and broken, as we remind you of yours. Let this day be a throne of forgiveness, for today we are the accountants of our souls, the navigators of our hearts, seeking wholeness and new direction. And we seek you through signs of your presence in the arc of sacred history. I make this covenant not with you alone, but with those who are standing here with us this day, and with those who are not. God of ages past and future, God of this day, as you were with our mothers and fathers, be with us as well.
נתן לתוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא ואיום, ובו תינשא מלכותך, וייכון בחסד כיסאך, ותשב עליו באמת.
Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love. Your reign is a reign of truth. And in truth you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other. And so a great shofar will cry, Tikiyah. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. All who come into the world pass before you, like a sheep before their shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments. We continue on page 178. On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted?
בראש השנה ייכתבו, וביום צום גיבור ייחתמו, כמה וכמה Chachanika
But through the return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. We continue on page 184 with Kedusha.
לקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא צלצל ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני. הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו ללא כוחי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נקצים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אלך גדול וקדוש אתה.
We continue on page 200 responsively as we welcome Neil and Steve to the bima for the shofar calls, our very own mentions. We are stiff-necked and stubborn. Teach us to bend before you. Convinced we're right, entrenched in our own perspective, we resist your call to repent. Convinced we're self-sufficient, entrenched in the illusion of control, we resist your call to humility. Convinced we have it all, entrenched in the dream of mastering the world, we resist your call to wake up. Today you summon us out of our arrogance, out of rigidity, fantasy, shallowlessness, self-deception. Teach us to bend our knees, to bow our heads before the mystery, to realize our frailty and our finitude. Teach us to make you melech, sovereign in our life, to align ourselves with your goodness and truth. We would not bow before Pharaoh. We would not bow before the Persian Lord. We would not submit to any power on earth or give ourselves to any material thing. But we, the Jewish people, stiff-necked, stubborn to the end, today we bow before you. We continue with our shofar blessing on page 206.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו לשמוע קול שופר. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו והחיינו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Tekiah, Shavarim Teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shavarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah.
Thank you. Let the wishes of our lips, our heart's desire be pleasing before you, God Most High. You are knowing and attentive, watchful and aware. When we call out Tekiah, lovingly, favorably receive our prayers of Malchuyot.
הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, אל רם ונישא. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, אל רם ונישא. מבין ומאזין מביט ומקשיב לקול תקייתנו, ותקרב ברחמים ברחמים וברצון סדר מלכויותינו.
We're going to continue silently through page 216, either with the words of your prayer book or the words of your heart. And Stu is going to play some violin to usher us through that silence.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by the wind of the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for. But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the
by a
sun,
wind off the sea,
like a stream that meets
like
a
a
boulder
seed dropped by a
halfway
bird
through
in
the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better.
And because I knew you,
Because I knew you,
because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
And it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Hineni, behold, here I am. This is the first line of the Torah portion we read every Rosh Hashanah. The Torah portion is called the Akedah, or the sacrifice of Isaac. And the story is brief. God comes to Abraham to test him, as the first line says, and asks Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. It's a really difficult text to read, and we get to read it on our holiest day. And we aren't the only ones who tell the story. All three Abrahamic faiths tell this story, except we tell the story the same way except for the very ending. The ending is different in all three faiths. So for the Christians, they tell the story the same way that we do, with Abraham with his knife up high. Instead, he sees the ram or an angel crosses his arm, and then it keeps going. And I would argue that for the Christians, the ending of the story doesn't end here in Genesis, but actually in Hebrews 11:19, where there's a line that says that Abraham believed that God would restore Isaac. They believed that Isaac would come back to life. And therefore, the message is a little different. The message, the test, is tempered because it believes in resurrection, which is not the Jewish approach to it. In the Quran, there's an argument whether the sacrifice is Ishmael or Isaac, and it depends on which Muslim you're talking to. 133 times in the Quran it's referenced as Ishmael, and 131 times it's referenced as Isaac. But the story is basically the same, except again for the ending. And depending on which scholar you're talking to, either as Abraham's arm is up, the knife turns so that he can't use it to sacrifice his son, or copper appears over Isaac or Ishmael, and so it cannot penetrate. Or I heard another reading where they believe that the throat cannot be slit, that he tries and that it seals back up. For the Jews, we don't have either of these endings. Our ending is that Abraham looks up and sees a ram and sacrifices the ram instead of his son, and God accepts the offering. And then we don't really talk about it again, just kind of keeps on going like that wasn't difficult at all. And I think that we have to honor this story in every tradition and every traditional approach to it. And I would say the Jewish approach, I think, is particularly complex because Jewish faith is really complex. That you can go through life, you can be a great Jew, and it doesn't require you to have God in the equation at all. That we as Jews are like Abraham, who get to choose what we want and who we need God to be. The text is the reason, this kind of text is the reason a lot of people don't believe in God or are very unsure about God. This idea around religion and God that teaches us faith through misery. That doesn't work for most of us. Or, if you don't trust God completely in the difficult trials of life, then you won't be blessed. And that's a really difficult theology, that either or. And it makes sense to me that in the face of great trauma, like a terrible illness, or God forbid, the loss of a child, the Holocaust, that one might say one of three things. Thanks, but no thanks, God. I don't need that kind of help. Or like my grandfather, who was a Holocaust survivor, he just said, why not? It helps my life. I guess I'll believe in God. Or God is the source of the light in my life and is my stronghold. I think all are acceptable and valued ways of seeing God in religion. And on Rosh Hashanah, you might be sitting here or tuning in for some of those same reasons. One, it's what you just do as a Jew. You show up on Rosh Hashanah. Or two, it's a really meaningful cultural practice, plus it involves honey cake, so it's a win-win. Or three, this is actually spiritually meaningful to me. Or some kind of combination of the above, depends what segment of the service you're in. I think in Rosh Hashanah, we don't just tell the Akedah, the sacrifice of Isaac. We embody the story. We are the story. Particularly in the story's ending, where the holding of the knife is up high, and we're making a choice of what I'm going to believe, trust, and pass on to the next generation. In every generation, the people have to give a name to God based on our experience of God. We need to know what our ancestors went through, the what and the why they chose to pass on to us. And we really need to learn those stories and embrace them. And then have our own experience of faith, of Jewish identity, of God. God can't be defined by one singular moment for all of eternity, not just by our trauma or our loss or a moment of infinite blessing. Every generation, each one of us must decide the role of God and faith in our lives and imagine what it means in this generation, separate from all the past explanations. I'm going to go back to focusing on that first line where Abraham comes down to test Abraham. What are the tests in our lives, and what does it mean to fail or win or pass a test? I think in the best sense of the word, tests come from teachers or from a coach. Sometimes the test is happening so that we can determine where we are in our learning curriculum. And other times, in a really good teacher or coach, we are being tested to prove to ourselves that the coach sees something in us that we do not yet see. And if the goal is to be morally imaginative and constructively embrace past definitions of spirituality, then I think it helps to imagine God as a teacher or a coach, to seek a context for learning. So I'm going to use football as a metaphor, which I understand is as painful a metaphor as the Akedah itself in Cincinnati right now. On a football team, there are specific units, players, and responsibilities, just like every tribe, tongue, and nation. You can be on the offense, defense, or part of a special skills unit. Every person on the team has a specialized role. And if you're on defense, you're just on defense. That's what you're looking at. But everyone has to work as a team at some point. I mean, you can win a few games if you've got a really great defense and a poor offense, or if you've got a few good players, you can win pretty well. But if you really want to win a championship, everyone must be good. Every side must be strong and work together as a unified team. On a football team, the tests are practices, and they're designed to make us better athletes so we can have success for the big game. Every practice is homework, every game its own test. And the test of Abraham is the same test that our community is facing right now. What does it mean to be a person of faith who remembers trauma, honors legacy of all those who came before us? We are in a moment where systems are crashing around us. A flawed justice system, a heroin epidemic, childhood poverty an all-time high, 800-year storms, and a political system that is so charged, so one-sided, that many of us struggle to hear or understand those with a different opinion, trapped in our own position, our own side of the team, that our hearts can't see anything else. We're living in this time of fear and unraveling. So, what about this moment are we handing down to our children? Because we have a choice in what our children and children's children inherit from this instant in time. We can choose to recapture the moment, rebroker our relationship with our nation, our city, our neighbors, our families, and invest in the team. Not just one side of the team. The win we need right now is to get beyond our basic fears by renegotiating the reality that we're living in. The reality that we are working towards is called Olam Haba, also known as the world to come, salvation, heaven on earth, God's complete love for humanity, or just a better version of this. And the person who will usher in Olam Haba is Elijah. Now, y'all know about Elijah, right? He's the guy you set an extra table for on Passover, and when you're little, you're watching that cup to see if it passes or gets smaller, and Uncle Lou is like, I'm going to drink it. Elijah was here. There's a whole energy around Elijah. And our teacher teaches that Elijah is a prophet. It's not clear if he lived, he still died or not. He just enters our world in every generation to test us and see if civilization is ready for the Messiah. Elijah tests us in all kinds of ways, and yet there's one consistent manner, in that Elijah is always dressed in the robes of someone vulnerable, the widow, a man in rags, a stranger. And each test is always basically the same. Is he welcome, taken care of, loved? In other words, is the human who greets him following the most essential law of the Torah, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love thy neighbor as thyself. And if Elijah is treated in such a way, the recipient is blessed. However, if the shtetl, the town, the city, the country rejects him, Elijah continues on, seeing that humanity is still waiting on the Messiah. And we never know who Elijah will visit, because it could be any of us that is faced with these tests. And therefore, it could be any of us who determines the humanity is ready for heaven on earth simply through our ability to love our fellow human being. I think that there was a practice Elijah at Temple Sholem recently. A priest came to our services about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he stood up during the normal introduction part of it, and he said, I have cancer, I'm here for treatment, and sometimes it helps me, even as a Catholic priest, to pray among the Jews. And in the back row, in the seat closest to the door, where he's still sitting right now, Joel Newberg yells out, "You're welcome here!" And then there's like this sea of energy of everyone saying, "You're welcome, come anytime, here you are, happy to have you, come to dinner." I mean, it was this flood of energy. And in that moment, I was so proud to be your rabbi. Like this parent who's mystified by their child's genius. I was just mystified by the community's act of grace, that it was just effortless to welcome. So Team Temple Sholem said yes to practice Elijah. Are we doing this in our individual lives as well? Because each of us needs to bring our A game right now. Because every one of us is responsible for Elijah. The visit from Elijah that ushers in Olam Haba, the ball for the final touchdown, can fall into the hands of any one of us. And living in this world that is in turmoil, a world of contention, a world of opposites, the suffering of humankind is unending. And so it's so tempting to combat our collective turmoil by surrounding ourselves with people who think and feel like us, who look and behave, who get us. Or be totally silent and keep our opinions to ourselves around people who think or live or look differently from ourselves. When we surround ourselves with people who are like us or avoid difficult topics, politics, with those who are less like us, it's so much easier to actually like them. And it makes us feel safe, reassured that this world isn't in total demise, and that I'm not totally crazy because I have my people, my team, and they're just like me. I call this practice certainty. Certainty is the ultimate solve to combat uncertainty. It's so comforting to try and alleviate suffering with certainty, to have a test where 1 + 1 is 2. I think this is actually what fundamentalists do so well, offer solace in the form of a singular answer. It's in God's hands, we say. But in the Jewish faith, God's a coach, not a singular answer. And even so, certainty is so tantalizing. I think of this as the sin of assumptions, where the solution to our complex problems can be fought with certainty. But there's no one singular right answer, with each of us competing with our own different versions of certainty. In politics, this addictive drug of certainty equally belongs to the dark sides of liberalism and conservatism. Global warming, profiteering, healthcare reform, Trump, whatever it is, it's one answer in our minds. And these attempts to combat uncertainty with forms of certainty is actually an escape from our freedom of choice. It's impossible, because when the argument is, I am right and you are wrong, there's nothing to argue about. We are in a world of opposites. And if everyone held the same position on the team, we'd play like the Bengals. Sorry, I had to put that in there. You can't build a winning team with all defense or all offense. A winning team embraces multiplicity. We live in a world where differences are seen as weaknesses. However, if we do not see our multiplicity as our most triumphant strength, then it will be our greatest downfall. Recently, I was asked to speak on a webinar on our work as a Sanctuary Solidarity Congregation for the Reform Action Committee, which is the national social policy arm for the Reform movement. And during the call, I was asked the question, what does your congregation think about all your justice work? In politics, I said, my congregation is respectful and supportive because justice is the call of the congregation, not just me. Oh, well, that's probably easy for you in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is in Ohio. I explained that we are a diverse community, a team with many different skill sets. And it doesn't work for anyone, this relationship of openness and complexity and justice and uncomfortableness. But this works. And so, like a good rabbi, I told him the story. There's a man in my congregation named Denny Reed Miller. And Denny is a devout man, patient, fun, takes me to a great lunch quarterly. And he and I have very different voting patterns. I actually don't think there's a single political issue that we agree on. And a couple of years ago, when I became a little more visible in my justice work and I started getting calls for interviews, and I called Denny, and he would always help me prepare. Not to test me to see if I could spar right, but to explain to me. I'd say, Denny, what are they going to ask me? Tell me, teach me that side of it. And he was always, and still is, very, very patient, kind, respectful. And he explained his point of view. And because I love Denny, I was able to be a little less certain about my certainty. I don't think I changed my opinion once, but I was able to see the situation as more nuanced. And maybe I didn't always have the answer, a monopoly on truth or justice, that both of us were coming from a place of compassion, truth, justice. And so when I was confronted with the opposition, when the questions came at me from the interviewers, I just saw them as Denny. And it made everything more human. And I didn't just speak with passion, like this. I spoke with compassion. Denny helped me see my families and friends who see the world differently than me, not as people who created this mess, but just as different players on the same team. Adonai, Avinu Malkeinu, our big coach in the sky, our teacher, God, the creative energy that animates us, the great one whose name we cannot agree on, is testing us. And we get to choose how our story continues, what we pass on to the next generation, how we listen or embrace our coach. And if we don't get serious about this team in the ways that we treat each other, in the manners that we assume truth, in the people we include in our circle of people that we love, we will fail. We're going to fail this test. If our Jewish vision of the Super Bowl is to bring heaven down to earth by being God's hands in the world, then we must identify and celebrate the basic wins first, like saying sorry to those we hurt and actually meaning it, trying our best to forgive others who have hurt us. And then maybe we can get to the playoffs of loving our neighbor as ourselves, of dismantling systemic racism, of freeing the captive, of redistributing wealth. Because this test is happening right now. This is the season of testing. And we don't have to be perfect or without sin. We just need to be a little stronger, a little wiser, braver, honest, kinder than we were yesterday. Find thyself a Denny, someone who lets you feel brave enough to confront your own certainty, unlock both your compassion for the other and the voice that allows you to combat the misuse of power in our world. Do not forget that you are not alone, that you have a community, a team, that understands welcoming and multiplicity and wants each of us to be our best selves. And we have God, and okay, Jews, this is going to feel uncomfortable. We have a God who loves us. God loves you. Coach put us in the game. And every team needs an Abraham, an Isaac, a Ram, a Joel calling out welcome, and a chorus of community echoing the call. We don't know how much time we have, but we've got the ball. And if we wait until tomorrow, put off the conversations and the confessions and the forgiveness and the breaking of our siloed behavior and commitment to certainty, tomorrow will never come. And either will Olam Haba. And we will miss that Elijah has chosen you and me, chose us to build and act as a winning team. Shana Tova. We're continuing in our prayer book on page 223. And when you reach the page, please rise for Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olaleinu V'Tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever V'Chere V'Ra'av Ma'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu Kalek Kol Tsar Umastin Ma'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu Kotvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu Chanenu V'Anenu Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim. Aseh Imanu Tzedakah V'Chesed V'Hoshi'enu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Konenu Banenu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim. Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah V'Chesed. Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah V'Chesed, V'Hoshi'enu. Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah V'Chesed. Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah V'Chesed, V'Hoshi'enu.
Page 226. We are the people of the book. Through fire and mud and dust we have borne our scrolls tenderly as a baby swaddled in a blanket, traveling with our words sewn in our clothes and carried on our backs. Let us take up the scroll of Torah and dance with it and touch it and read it out, for the mind touches the word and makes it light. So does light enter us, and we shine.
En kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'en k'maasecha, malchutecha, malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chodor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed. Adonai osem v'yitin, Adonai yvarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai, Adonai, Rachum v'chanun, רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוסר חסד לאלפים, נוסר חסד לאלפים, נוסר עוון ופשע וחטא ונעקר. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדול אדוני איתנו, נרומא שמו יוקרא. לך אדוני הגדולה והגמורה והכנרת והנצח והאור. כי חול בשמיים ובארץ, כי חול בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני המקום, תמיד נעשה לכל ראש. אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח והאור. כי חול בשמיים ובארץ, כי חול בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, תמיד נעשה לכל ראש. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ויגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. יירם היום, יירם היום, יירם הים ומרום. יירם הים, יירם הים, יירם הים ומרום. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ.
So lest you think that a rabbi's work is only scholarly, try 20 minutes in heels carrying a 40-pound Torah. Gotta look good. Thanks, Doug. So our reading today is the Akedah, which we discussed, and I gotta catch my breath. Our Torah portion we're going to read through it's page 240. And what we do now is we do group aliyot, group blessings. So for the first, we're going to do everything in Hebrew and in English, so you can just receive it if you don't want to follow along. But for our first aliyah, I welcome anyone who's had a joy in their lives, a new baby, a marriage. If you witness a miracle, if something great happened to you this year, please come up and affirm that up here. Oh, come on, I married like half of you. Come on up. That's good. Here, Mama.
Two good blessings.
Here, Max, come. You'll be the. So you're here. So Max, you're gonna take the seat, and you're gonna just go here.
Right there?
Yep.
Torah portion.
Okay. All right, blessings.
Baruch et Adonai HaBorach. Baruch Adonai HaBorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaBorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayehi achar hadbarim ho'eleh v'ha'elohim niso es Avraham vayomer elov Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer kakna et binecha esh yechidecha Asher ahavta es Yitzchak velech lecha El Eretz Hamoria, Va'alehu Shom Le'olah, Alachad Yeharim, Asher Emar Elecha, Vayahashkem Avraham Baboker, Vayachavosh Es Chomro, Vayikach Eshnei Neravito, V'es Yitzchak Beno, Vayivaka Atze'ela, Vayakom Vayelech El Hamakom, Asher Emar Lo Avraham, Bayom Hashlishi, Vayisa Avraham et Einav, Vayaret Hamakom Merachok, Vayomer Avraham El Nerov, Shavu Lachem Po Am Hachamor, Va'ani v'hanar ne'ocha adko v'nishtachaveh v'nashuva alechem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu toras emes v'chayei olam natav b'tzolteinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And so it was that after these events, God put Abraham to a test. And God said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And God said, Come, take your son, your only one, whom you love, Isaac, and go forth to the land of Moriah, to offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I will show you. And Abraham arose early in the morning, and harnessed his donkey, and took with him his 2 young servants, his son Isaac. And he split the burnt offering wood, and rose and departed for the place that God had said to him. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place in the distance. And Abraham said to his young servants, You stay here with the donkey, while the boy and I go further on. We will worship and return to you.
May the one who creates joy and fulfillment bless those who rise on this festive day in celebration of a simcha in their lives. May you remain grateful always, aware of your blessings, alive to the wonder that has touched your souls. Let you be messengers of delight, bringing warm smiles and the glow of happiness to all you encounter. And may the love and good fortune that you have known inspire you to share it with others. Our hearts rejoice with our friends today, and we join them and their families together saying, Give thanks to the Eternal, for God is good. God's love endures forever. Congratulations. You guys can go down. Thank you. For the second Aliyah, I'd like to bring up anyone who honors our community with supporting it by serving on a committee, on our board, on a steering committee. Anyone who, choir if you'd like, anyone who contributes in some way to making our congregation what it is. Nice and tight. I also excited about my heels. Just take them off. I might. My tour reader. Look at all these people. I need my tour reader. See Michael. Needs to come out here. She's being polite. I need someone with a towel. That'll be easy. I need you guys to let my tour reader come through here. around here.
Okay. It's 11 lines down from the paragraph break.
How many?
No.
Here it is. Oh, no, it's not.
It's. No, I can find this. Amar Cole.
Wait, can I just see that? Here, Michael, I'll just look for you. Here it is. All right, you got it. You got it? Just hold it right there.
It's not the same as it was in the Tikkun.
Okay.
But that's all right.
Wait, shh. We'll do it together. Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Right next to you, and I got it.
Vayekomen, Vayekak Avraham, Vayekak Avraham, Et Atzeh Olav Yasim, Al Yitzchak Beno, Vayekak Biado, Et HaEsh, V'et HaMa'akelet, V'yakush Nehem Yakdav. Vayomer Yitzchak El Avraham Aviv. Vayomer Avihi. Vayomer Hineni Beni. Vayomer Hine Ha'esh. Va'etzim. Va'aye Hazeh Leolam. Vayomer Avraham Elohim Yireh lo haseh Leo Lo yaseh Leola Beni V'yakushnehem Yakdah V'yahu El Hamakom Asher Amalo Ha-Elohim Vayiven Shem Avraham Ir HaMizbeach V'ya'arok Ir HaEtzim V'ya'akod Et Yitzchak Beno Vayisam Oto Al HaMizbeach Et Ha'akelet La'etzim. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Vayishlach Avraham et yado vayekach et ha'akelet lishkod et beno vayekra Elahai ma'alach Adonai min hashamayim vayomer Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer al tishlach yaraka et yakirka. No, I'm sorry.
That was right.
Al ta'as lo miuma ki ekad.
Yadati ki ata.
Was that it? Ata?
Ki ata.
Ta yadati yire Elohim ata. What's that word? Velo hasa it bin ka it yakidaka mimeni Vaisa Avraham enahai Yara avahine ayil Akaha ne'ekaz basfahak bikarnai Vai Yalek Avraham Vayekak Irha ayu V'ya'alehu Li'olaha Takat benuhu Vayakra Avraham Shem Hamakom Hahu Adonai Yireh Asher Yamar Hayom Bahar Adonai Yireh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet B'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And Abraham took the burnt offering wood and placed it on his son Isaac, and took in his own hand the firestone and the knife. And the two of them walked together. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, he said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am, my son." And he said, "Here is the firestone, and here is the wood, but where is the sheep for burnt offering?" And Abraham said, "God will see to the sheep for a burnt offering, my son." And the two of them walked together. And they came to the place that God had said to him. And there Abraham built the altar and arranged the wood and bound his son Isaac and placed him on the altar over the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And a messenger of Adonai called to him from heaven, saying, "Abraham, Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." And the messenger said, "Do not lay your hand on the boy. Do nothing to him. For now I know you are in awe of God, since you would not deny me your son, your only one." And Abraham lifted his eyes, and suddenly he saw in the thicket a ram caught by its horns. And Abraham took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering in place of his son. And Abraham called that place by the name Adonai Yireh. Adonai will see. As it is said to this day, on the mountain of Adonai there is seeing.
Creator of conscience, who implants within us the desire to do good, bless you who are up here today to receive our gratitude and praise. May you take joy in your achievements, find meaning in a life of service, and may you go from strength to strength. We pray that all your endeavors will prosper and that your deeds will inspire others, bringing honor to our community and our people. We join with our friends and family in celebration of your good works, saying, Kol HaKavod, all honor to you, for you honor us through your deeds. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for your first time reading the Torah. Beautiful. So you guys can go down. Our third aliyah, our final aliyah, is for those in need of healing or someone in their life who is in need of healing, if you'd like to stand in their stead, and a caregiver, doctor, therapist, all the people who bring healing into this world. forward, yeah. Just need this. Who has the towels? Anyone? You have a towels. Will you come forward?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just gonna touch it, right? With your towels. This.
Touch it with my towels.
Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing.
Where? Here.
Just toss it up here. Baruch hu et Adonai Havarah. Baruch Adonai Havarah. Baruch Adonai Havarah. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'harmanu b'kol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Vayikra malach Adonai el Avraham shenit min hashamayim. Vayomer bi nishbati neum Adonai ki ya'an asher asita et hadavar hazeh. V'lo chashat et bincha yidchidcha. Ki varech avrachacha ve'arbe arbe et yitzarecha k'chvei hashamayim. Kol asher al sfat hayam. Ve'yirash zeracha et sha'ar oivav. V'hit barachu biz'arecha kol goyei ha'aretz ekev. Asher shem'ata b'koli, v'yeshev Avraham el ne'arav, v'yakumu v'yalchu yachdav el Be'ersheva, v'yoshev Avraham Be'ersheva. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And the messenger of Adonai called it to Abraham from heaven a second time and said, By myself I swear, declares Adonai, that because you have acted thus and would not deny me your son, your only one, I will bless you greatly, and I will multiply your seed like stars in the sky and like sand by the sea. Your seed shall possess the gate of its foes, and all the earth's nations shall be blessed through your seed, because you have hearkened to my voice. And Abraham returned to his young servants, and they rose, and together they walked to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt in Beersheba.
Thank you. As we have our living Torah in front of us, we just completed this reading, one that involves trial and suffering and doubt, frustration. We think about all of that in our lives, the people who are struggling in this room, in this service, in our greater world, with seen and unseen difficulties, with difficult news and difficult decisions. We think about those who are needing comfort and support, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Think about those who are in nursing facilities, in their own homes, in hospital rooms, those waiting on test results, those who've just heard about them, and all those who support all of us in these endeavors, doctors, nurses, therapists, caregivers, family. They're all part of the cycle of healing and wonder and moving forward. If you'd like to mention someone's name or your own, if you're in need of healing in body, mind, or spirit, please share those names now.
Greg.
Faye Walls.
Susan Warshower.
Cookie Aronoff, Judy Avner, Michael Arm, Mira Barner, Ruth Bergman, Victor Bluestein, Sheila Boniface, Melissa Kanowitz, Jacob Ross Grimes, Elizabeth Halfhill, Ethan Kadish, Yael Kraus, Lee Krinick, Elaine Heightfield, Mel Hudson, Ira Lerner, Lou and Eileen Levy, Joan and Dennis Little, Cherry Linder, Nancy Newmark, Iris Riggs, David Rose, Betty Roth, Bob Rubin, Iris Sham, Carol Shore, Mahea Stoneman, Ralph Strauss and Lou Strauss, Susie Warshauer, Fran Victor, Yehuda ben Aharon, Chaim ben Yaakov and Nechama, all those who are struggling with the storms in our country, the fires out in the Northwest, the earthquake in Mexico, and all those that trouble in our spirit. Together, we're part of a healing community as we continue with Misha Berach on page 245. Misha Berach Avotenu v'Imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, v'Rechet Yarape et HaCholim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Alehem, Lahachlim Alvatam Chazikam, V'Yishlach Lahachayotam, V'Yishlach Lahem Refuah Shlema, Betoch Sha'ar HaCholim, Refuatan Nefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Hashta B'Galah V'Zman Kariv, V'Nomar Amen.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We rise together for the lifting of the Torah on page 246. You guys can go down. They're on here, so we'll go together. You guys can go down. What? I'll take you down. You guys can
So HaTorah Moshe Moshe Lifnei Bnei Israel Al Pi Adonai Beyad Moshe.
Our Haftarah continues with the blessings on 247, and then we will read from the book of Samuel on page 250.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'cha b'nevim tovim, v'ratza b'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Blessed are you, O God, our God, eternal, supreme power of the universe, who called forth noble prophets to speak the truth. Baruch ata Adonai habocher b'torah b'Moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo u'v'nevei ha'emet v'tzedek. Blessed are you, God of eternity, who delights in the Torah, in Moses, God's servant, in Israel, God's people, and in prophets of truth and right.
This reading is from Samuel 1. And Hannah arose after eating and drinking at Shiloh, while Eli the priest sat upon the throne near the doorpost of the temple of the Eternal. And she, bitter to the core, prayed to the Eternal, weeping and crying. And she vowed and said, Eternal of heaven's hosts, if you will truly see your servant's affliction and remember me and not forget your servant, and give your servant a son, I will give him to the Eternal all the days of his life, and no razor shall be lifted to his head. And as her praying before the Eternal intensified, Eli watched her mouth. And Hannah, she was speaking only in her heart, though her lips were moving, her voice could not be heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. And Eli said to her, How long will you persist in drunkenness? Put away your wine, get rid of it. And Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord, a woman of sorrow am I. I drink neither wine nor spirits, but poured out my soul before the Eternal. Do not take your servant for a worthless woman. All this time I have spoken from the depth of my anger, from the greatness of my grievance. And then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant the request you have made. And she said, May your servant find grace in your sight. And the woman went on her way, and she ate, and her face no longer as it had been. And they awoke early in the morning and worshipped before the Eternal. And they went home, returning to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and the Eternal remembered her. And so it was at the turn of the year, Hannah conceived and then gave birth to a son. And she called him Samuel, because I requested him from the Eternal.
Then the man Elkanah and his whole household went up to make the annual offerings to the Eternal and to fulfill his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, Until the boy is weaned, then I will bring him once he appears before the Eternal. He will stay forever. Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Do what you think is best. Wait until you have weaned him. Surely the Eternal will fulfill what your mouth has uttered. So the woman stayed and nursed her son until she weaned him. When she had weaned him, she took him up with her with a 3-year-old bull, 1 ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Eternal, to Shiloh. And the boy was young, so they slaughtered the bull, and they brought the boy to Eli. And she said, Please, my lord, as you live, my lord, I am the woman who stood here with you praying to the Eternal. It was for this boy that I prayed, and the Eternal granted my request. I, in turn, grant what the Eternal asks of him. As long as he lives, he is dedicated to the Eternal. And there they worshipped the Eternal.
אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה, די, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך, אחור לא ישוב ריקם. כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה.
Blessed are you, our God eternal, supreme power of the universe, rock of all ages, source of justice for all generations, God in whom faithfulness abides, whose word is deed, whose every utterance bespeaks truth and righteousness. Faithful are you, our God eternal, and faithful your words. Not one of them rings hollow, for yours is a reign of loyalty and compassion.
Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol dvarav.
Blessed are you, God of eternity. You are true to your word.
Rachem al Tzion, ki hi bet chayenu, ve'le'aluvat nefesh toshia bimhera b'yameinu.
Have mercy on Zion, our spiritual home, and through us hasten your redemption of the downcast and disheartened.
Baruch atah Adonai, mesameach Tzion bevaneha.
Blessed are you, God of eternity, who brings joy to Zion through her sons and daughters.
L'shana tova tikvatenu. I want to thank everyone for spending the high holidays with Temple Shalom at Rockburn Academy. I also want to thank Rabbi Turlinchamp, Dr. Mark Bailey, Dr. Jonathan Stanton, the Temple Shalom staff, Jenny Costello, Julie Solomon, Faina Gotkin, Laura Wright, Marta Highland, and Bob Zeke for being our sound and internet guide today. My name is Robin Miller, and I'm the president of Temple Shalom. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up where I lived within 5 miles of my grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. My public elementary school was 99% Jewish. We went to the deli for lunch every Saturday. At my house, we did not mix meat and milk, and the only time we ate pork was at a Chinese restaurant, because everyone knew that didn't count. I grew up in a strong Jewish community. I came to Cincinnati for college and started a career in telecommunications. I married my husband, Fred, and I had 2 daughters, Lauren and Deborah. We joined my husband's synagogue in Hamilton, and actually we are still members there. When my older daughter went to school, she was suddenly the 1%, and not in the financial sense. I wanted my children to know that there were other Jewish families in Cincinnati, so we did what everyone does. We shul shopped. Our best friends, the Barishes, joined Temple Shalom. As a working mom, I was happy that religious school was just 1 day a week and Sundays, and I have to admit it was the best decision we could have made. We found a wonderful community at Temple Shalom. Over the years, we got other friends to join, and we made new friends. I found people who have your back. They reach out to celebrate the good as well as commiserate with the bad. Thanks to Joint Shanka, Temple Shalom created, we have a team for that, and it allows our congregants to sign up for ways to reach out to others in and out of our community. If you can't tell, my theme is community. According to Google, the definition of community is a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. It is also a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. Here at Temple Shalom, we have many ways to connect with others: prayer, services, study, brotherhood, women of Temple Shalom, book clubs, choir, social justice advocacy, just to name a few. This year, we eliminated our traditional dues structure and asked for a pledge of a heart, from the heart. And I have to admit, it is scary, since we expanded our staff and we want to keep our doors open. And running a religious institution is not cheap. We are on the cutting edge of creating a new way for our Jewishness to go beyond our walls with just love. It is an innovative approach to Judaism. Rabbi Turlinchamp is working with our partners, the Mayerson Foundation, to help us spread our message of community both inside and outside our walls. Just love allows us an opportunity to reach out to people whose faith point is justice and are interested in interfaith opportunities to build community and engagement. And themed activities, from our Shabbatish programs to having a Hebrew naming for a Jewish Build-A-Bear, we want to grow our community by reaching out to folks who don't typically associate with organized religion, but want to feel more spirituality. The hope is that Just Love activities will encourage people to attend faith labs, traditional services, and religious school. The board has made an ambitious goals for this year. We need to raise $136,000 above our pledged amount, and we want to grow our community by 20 members and increase religious school by 10 students, and we are well on our way to meeting those goals. And I would be remiss if I did not remind you that at the welcome desk and back here by the usher stand, there's an envelope if you would like to contribute to these high holiday and make a high holiday donation. You can also consider a legacy gift, a donation that will keep the doors open for future generations. It is hard to believe that Rabbi Turlenchamp has been with us for 8 years. We have made many changes over that time. We have listened to the members of our community with focus groups and open door policy. We are trying to be relevant in a world that does not always make sense. We honor and respect our Jewish heritage, and we make sure that we follow our vision statement with all the decisions the board makes. I'm so proud to be part of this community. I'm going to ask you to indulge me for just a few more minutes. I would like to have a chance to recognize everyone who has joined us here today, so please stand when I call out your group and remain standing if you can. If this is your first high holiday with us, please stand. We want to thank you for joining us and selecting us to be with today. If you have attended high holiday services in the past but are not an official member of the community, please stand. We hope that since we have eliminated dues, that you might be willing to become an official member of our congregation, and people will be in contact with you. But thank you for coming. And this also applies to our online community. We welcome you as well as official members. If you have ever attended keep on standing. If you have ever, you're not getting out that easily. If you've ever attended religious school at Temple Sholom, please stand. And that counts as adult education as well. If you've been a member for less than 10 years, please stand. We're so glad that you're part of us. If you've been a member from 10 to 30 years, please stand. And for all those who have been a member of Temple Sholom for over 30 years, please stand. I want to thank everyone. We are grateful for all of your commitment to this fine organization. I'm going to ask you to continue to stand as Rabbi Turlenchamp comes to the bima. One last thought as we start a new year. May you have a year of peace, happiness, good health, and friends. Thank you for being part of our community, and may you be inscribed in the Book of Life.
Thank you, Robin. Let's remain standing. We're almost there, guys. Get into your bagels by 1. I'd like to bring up Neil and Steve as we continue with our shofar service. We're on page 268. The prophet said, "Cry aloud, lift up your voice like a shofar." This is the meaning of the verse. See yourself as a shofar, an instrument of the divine. Do not take pride in your virtue or the power of your deeds. With every mitzvah you do, every act of intellect, goodness, and love, God's Spirit breathes through you.
Tekiah, Shavarim Teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shavarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah.
רב לפניך, רם ונישא. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם ונישא. מבין ומאזין מביט ומקשיב בכל זכייתנו. ותגבה ברחמים וברצון, סדר זיכרונותינו.
As we continue on 270, there's going to be a lot of standing for the next few minutes, so if you need to, please be seated, no judgment.
Eternal presence, who blessed our fathers and mothers and fathers, bless this holy congregation, a house of study, prayer, and righteous deeds. Together we give thanks for our leaders who learn, teach, and uphold the Torah, inspiring others to learn and teach, uphold the Torah. Those who do that sacred work of building our community, may their service bring them joy, fulfillment, and purpose, and may they go from strength to strength. For our members, diverse in age, interest, and background, Jews by birth, Jews by choice, and those of other faiths who join us, all who offer their time and talent, their love and commitment, for all who come here on this holy day of Rosh Hashanah to share the search of meaning and renewal. Your presence is a blessing, your friendship is a gift. The spirit of peace, dignity, and respect live within these walls, inspiring us to care for one another with high compassion, and may we be a source of goodness, light, and healing for the world. May the one who blessed generations before us bless us as we stand together this day, one congregation joined with all Jewish communities in the world through our prayers on this festival of the new year. Let us renew ourselves for the year ahead, and let us honor the precious legacy that is ours.
277. A precious teaching I have given you, my Torah, do not forsake it. A tree of life to those who hold it fast, all who embrace it know happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Take us back, Adonai, let us come back to you. Renew in our time the days of old. As we continue on 284 with our final shofar calls, anyone who brought a shofar with them should come on up. It's a thing. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people, Israel.
Tekiah. Shavarim Teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shavarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah Gedolah.
הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם ונישא. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, מבין ומאזין מביט ומקשיב לכל תהייתנו ולגבר רחמים ברחמים וברצון צלם שופרותינו.
We continue with Aleinu on page 286.
עלינו לשבח גדול הכל, לתת גדולה ליוסף בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא ספקנו בהם, וגורלנו ככל המון. קוראים ומשתחווים ומורדים בקבלת מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהות שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב קרוב השמיים מלעל ושלינתו זו בגובה מרומי ואלוהינו אין עוד אמפקנו אפס ולתו ככתוב בתורתו ידעת היום והשבות אליו אבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים השמיים ממעל ועל הארץ לא יתארך אין עוד ונאמר ואדוני למלך כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני
Please be seated as we continue on page 290. If I can let you go as trees let go, their leaves so casually one by one, if I can come to know what they do know, that fall is the release, the consummation, then the fear of time and the uncertain fruit would not distemper the great lucid skies, this strangest autumn mellow and acute. If I can take the dark with open eyes and call it seasonal, not harsh or strange, for love itself may need a time of sleep, and tree-like stand unmoved before the change, lose what I lose to keep what I can keep, the strong root still alive under the snow. Love will endure if I can let you go. We commemorate the yard sites of Beverly Fox, Bertha Barron, Jacob Rutman, Sylvia Zimov, Ruth Isaacson, Henrik F. Infield, Albert Bryn, Margaret Bunyan, Ethel Lerner Stromberg, Milton Stanley Isaacson, Lois Bader, Pauline Spector, Rose Sandel. If you'd like to contribute to the list of people that we're remembering or repronounce a name, please share those names now. If you are in mourning or commemorate a yard site, please rise first. We acknowledge you, mourn along with you, rising together as a community of comfort for all those we mentioned out loud, those who we carry in our hearts, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. As we continue on 292 with our words of comfort. Yitgadal v'kadash shemei rabba, v'alma divrach hirte v'yanlich machlute, hayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh jechol be'Yisrael, b'galah v'isman kari v'imrum, Yehei shmei rabba mevarach leolam olmei omaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitba'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitzadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei Kedusha, La'ela ula'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiram bi'alma v'imrum. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'imrum. Oseh shalom bimromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'imrum.
Oseh shalom bimromav, huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated. As we conclude our service, I thank all of you who participated in today's worship. Thank you to our readers, to our Bima honors, our Torah readers. Thank you to Rachel Gross Prince and to Pam Sakes and the Mayerson Foundation for the 175 kids and all the work that went into that. Thank you to Bob for streaming, to our 180 people who are with us today. Thank you to Dr. Mark Bailey, Jonathan Stinson, to our choir for lifting us. Thank you to our staff, to our Board of Trustees, to our Rockborn for hosting us, to all who give and support this community. We're going to do something a little different at the end of the service, so I'm just giving you a little warning. We're going to exit this time through these doors because we are going to do an air tashlich. And if that's not your thing, that's okay. Those are still doors over there. But our receiving line is going to be short and quick, and so if I miss my handshake with you, I'll get it afterwards. But we're going to line up there, and as you sort of go through, you're going to say hello if you want and grab a balloon. And then we're all going to go up to the field and do a boon release. Now, before my environmentalists get nervous, they're biodegradable, both the balloon and the string. And the point is that on the high holidays, we do a lot of focusing on our sins. But the truth is, we've done a lot of good things this year, too. We've knocked it out of the park a few times also. And so there's two different kinds of tashliks, and we're doing both of them. This one is to let go of negativity, to sort of raise the bar of our already good works and say, all right, together, we're going to fill this sky with these bright balloons and hear the sound of the shofar and say, yeah, I'm with you. And then afterwards, if you'd like, there's still the traditional tashlich, which is the water tashlich of casting the sins into the water. That's going to be happening at Swain Park on Zigzag, and you can just walk down really easily. That's in there. So we're doing both things to awaken our spirits and commit ourselves, and also be environmentally friendly at the same time. So before we conclude this particular service, if you could reach to connect to one another to receive a blessing, if you've got a talus, you could just sort of connect someone there. If you are not a toucher, that's okay. If you're online, put your hands out. Whatever works for you to receive this blessing. With love and good wishes for this new year, may your weight, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your taxes, your gasoline, electricity bills, and the junk in your email and your snail mail, your mortgage payments, and the solicitation calls during your dinners decrease. May your income, your stocks, your dividends, and your popularity increase. And may your smoke alarm, your refrigerator, your computer, your trusted friends never fail you. May your computer never freeze, your automobile never overheat, your condition never quit on the hottest day of the year when it's supposed to be fall still, and your neighbor's garden's leaf blower break down. May you hear the two most beautiful words in the English language, check and closed. May you forgive your enemies, because nothing annoys them more. May you learn to keep yourself healthy by eating what you do not want, drinking what you don't like, and doing what you'd rather not. May what you see in the mirror delight you, and what others see in you delight them. And may someone love you enough to forgive your faults, be blind to your blemishes, and tell the world about your virtues. May all 7 billion people everywhere in the world learn to love the people everywhere else in the world, so that we can survive this blowing up world. I wish you enough hellos to those you love to get through the final goodbyes we must say to one another. And should you ever feel alone and unloved, may you know that you are never alone, for God is with you, in you, loves you, and so do I. May the Mashiach come this year, and if he does not, may you live as if she has, and may you be blessed with the happiness, healthiest, sweetest, and most peaceful year of your life. Shana Tova. We'll conclude on page 299 with Ein Keloheinu.
Moshienu, mi Eloheinu, mi Chadonenu, mi Chemokenu, mi Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Emakenu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shana Tova, we'll see you out there.
Let's leave this here.